personal lines insurance agent, 39, going on 40. I have two kids, a daughter who's 18 and a son who's 14, and single dad. He's in both.
Um, so Victor, what does being a father mean to you?
What does father mean? Being a father mean to me? Um, the responsibility of being in charge of two individuals, making them aware of their abilities, their talents, their downfalls, and helping them succeed, setting them up so that they can be everything that they want to be, and hopefully avoid everything that I am.
So Victor, what is your relationship like with your father?
What is my relationship like with my father? Ooh, non existent. I haven't seen my father maybe close to 20 years. Um, when I got divorced, it had been almost a decade since I talked to him. And I reached out to him for advice, for guidance, maybe to build a connection again. And the man hadn't changed. He he wrote me back, still blaming me for things that he did when I was a child. And at that moment, I knew there was no relationship left to fix. So I cut him off, and it's been a decade since that happened.
So, how do you think the relationship with your father has impacted your life?
How has the relationship with my father impacted my life? I think a better question is how has it not? My son asked me the other day, how is it that you know how to fix a car? How did you learn? And the answer is because me and my brother, we used to go to junkyards and get parts for the vehicle. We didn't have money to go to the auto store. So we would get used parts. And that's how we learned how to take a car apart and how to put it back together. He asked me how I learned how to drive. So I grabbed the vehicle one day. All the simple things that a father could provide, all the knowledge wasn't there. And the more complex things, how to love, how to care, how to guide, how to teach, I didn't have those. And I'm learning them as I go along, and I've made mistakes with my children. And I made mistakes in my marriage, which led to divorce. Um, Not having him there has been pretty impactful. And there's still things I don't know and that I wish I did or had somebody to guide me. And at this point in life, it's more of a self-taught thing. So that's that's how I handle things now. Talk to other men, I talk to other parents just to get perspective, how to handle certain situations. But I also realize the things that I missed about him and the things I didn't learn from him. And those are the things I focus on when I try to teach my kids, when I try to interact with them, or just provide that guidance. And I think sometimes I might overdo it a little bit, but better to have more than none, right?
So to piggyback off that, do you think there's been an emotional void created because of the relationship with your father when it comes to your kids?
Do I think there's an emotional void created by my father that goes over to my kids? Most definitely. As a young man, early 20s, I could do anything. Put my head down, run through any wall, succeed in anything that I set my mind to. Avoid all the emotions, avoid all the complications or outcomes that may be produced because of that relationship. Never paid attention. I just kind of locked it away. And you can only do that so much before it spills out. And when it does, it's hard. The gap, the hole left behind was pretty big. And I realized that because of that void, because of my inattention to them and putting them away and storing them somewhere in a headspace, um, I created a space within myself where I was numb. Emotions didn't matter, and there was no empathy, no perspective for other people, and that included my kids. And the moment I realized that void became an overcompensation to what I do with my children. So now, trying to find that balance. I think I went from a parent who was all about working and succeeding and beating anything in life to a parent who was a helicopter, wanted to be involved in everything, wanted to know everything, wanted to make sure that the corners were bubble wrapped, the outlets were plugged, the water wasn't too hot. And so we found that balance, and it's still a work in progress. But there's still hurt and pain that I sometimes project into my kids. And I gotta work on that. I got that Lady Gaga glimmer going on. Shine.
Um, so, how old were you when you had your first child, and what was that experience like for you?
How old was I when I had my first child? How did that go? I was 21. I wasn't ready to be a dad. It wasn't something that was planned. But I was very excited and at the same time very afraid. I was very confident in myself that I was going to do fine because I had overcome so many things so far and had this ability to run through any situation and somehow succeed. But I also had raised four four children prior. My father left, and being the oldest, and in my culture, I was left with the responsibility to raise my brothers. The youngest of them was 16 years behind me. I was 16 when he was born, so I was there at every ultrasound. I was there at every doctor's visit. I was responsible for driving all of them back and forth to school. Um, I was there when he was born. The nurse asked me if I was a dad. So when my firstborn came along, I was I thought I was ready, and I thought I knew what it entailed. As far as the things that I needed to do, doctor's visits, the getting the room ready, preparing the house, I was good. The emotional side, I was numb. And I was more afraid than I have ever known. And I didn't admit that to myself at that moment. Because how could I? It's not my persona at that point. I need to rush through things and I need to make sure I succeeded in this.
Has custody or child support impacted your relationship with your kids, and how?
Has custody and child support impacted my relationship? Ooh, that's a loaded question. All right. I see my daughter maybe twice a year. My custody agreement is 50-50. 50% legal, 50% physical. So there should be equal shared time. I see my son every day now because he lives with me. But I don't see my daughter as often. Custody was something I won in the courts, but not something I won with them. Child support has never been existent because of the income that both their mother and I have. It's pretty equal, so we have never had child support in place. Um, but that doesn't mean I haven't supported them or paid or whatever financial assistance you want to put it in. For the majority of the time that I've been divorced, I have been supporting them financially, both on my end and on my ex's end. There have been many moments where I have had to cover her end because of whatever financial crisis she might have. And it is not my responsibility per a decree written in some court, but it is my responsibility as a dad, right? It is something that I'm not going to let that impact the future of my children. However, because of this, my daughter doesn't speak to me. I don't see her but 2 times a year, 3 times a year. And because of the financial situations that have happened between me and her mother, she doesn't want to talk to me, and I understand. I can become pretty upset when I get a call asking me for $1,000 because she doesn't have it. And now I have to scramble and find a way to cover that. And I'll take that financial burden on every day. But the follow-up is another moment, it's another time. And eventually I reach a limit where I ask for that money back, or can you cover this end, or can you take care of this? And I end up becoming the bad guy. And at times it is me being a bad guy. It's me being annoying and irritating and calling and asking, hey, do you have that money? Can you pay it back? And my daughter has been witness to that, unfortunately, and she's made the choice that I am not somebody she wants to have a relationship with. And I respect that for the time being. I have to. I give her space, I give her her time in the hopes that one day, as she grows, she'll be able to see it. I see me, I see the young me in her. So I know and I understand what she feels. And my son, well, he lives with me now. He lives full time with me. And again, that was the outcome of a financial decision on his mom's side. So, in one relationship, you could say I won per se, and another one I lost. But if we look at it through the eyes of the kids, it's a shit show. They lost. My daughter doesn't have a relationship with me, and my son doesn't have a relationship with his mom. And that's not the way things should be.
Did you have a support system to help you as a father?
Did I have a support system to help me as a father? I'm an immigrant. I came here from Mexico City in the early 90s. There's no family here. I have 4 brothers. I have my mom. So when my kids were born, I had them. And maybe some friends. Maybe some people that were important in my life at that moment. While being married, my ex's parents at times. But after being divorced, after getting divorced, my support system was really my mom. And that was it. And I wasn't gonna rely on anybody else, and I don't rely on anybody else for my kids. Not once have I had somebody else have to go pick them up for an exchanging of kids, due to custody or whatever. Or had somebody babysit them long term, maybe watch them a night here or there. But as far as an extended network, not really.
What do you enjoy most about being a father?
What do I enjoy most about being a father? Everything. My daughter just received her acceptance letter from Western yesterday. She had no plans to go to college. She wanted to go to community college and get her CNA license or accreditation. She wanted to become a paramedic, and she's doing great in school. She's doing dual enrollment, and so she took her ACTs and she scored a 34 out of 36, 90 percentile. She didn't know. She herself was amazed at her score. I couldn't be more proud, but at the same time, I knew that she had that in there. I knew how smart she is. And so she received all these letters from different colleges. And she received one from the University of Michigan. She got one from Western. She got one from Grand Valley. She got a letter from St. Mary's. She got letters from all over the place. It wasn't until she opened one up that she realized that these colleges were looking for her. And when I asked her, "Have you received any other letters?" she said, "Yeah, I got a bunch in the mail, but I thought they were just promotional, so I threw them all in the trash." And okay, well, apply. And she has, and she received that letter. And As a father, I couldn't be more proud, but I also know that I have missed out on her life for the last 4.5 years. For my son, he is intelligent. He is kind hearted. He is a loving soul. He is confident. He's cocky. And there's not a moment that I don't enjoy being with them. Watching them grow, watching them succeed, watching them reach their potential. What else could you want? It's it's a blessing. And I thank God every single day for giving me the opportunity to be their father. And I just hope that I don't screw it up or let them down.
Have you ever felt underappreciated as a father?
Hmm. Have I ever felt underappreciated as a father? I think that question in itself is universal. To put it into just one single category, have I ever felt underappreciated as a father? It's difficult to answer or to just put that into a silo. That would mean you're underappreciated as a human being, as a person, as an individual. So, have I ever felt underappreciated as a father? Yes, we all have. We all have felt some type of letdown there, right? But it's not a bad thing. It's not a moment to look and be mad or be upset or say, hey, you don't appreciate the things I do for you. You don't care what I do for you. It's not for that. Take it as a moment to grow. Take it as a moment to develop. Take it as a moment to either realize that they are lacking something that you are not teaching them, or they haven't learned, or they don't understand. And your role as a parent, as a father, as a mother, as a step parent, whatever, is to teach those things. So if you feel underappreciated as a father from your kids, and this is just from your kids, take a moment to ask yourself why they behave that way or what led to that action. What do they not know? What do they not feel? What can you do to help them? If you feel underappreciated from another adult as a father, cut them out. They didn't appreciate you before. They didn't care about you before. They should know better. And if they don't, it's not your responsibility to guide a whole grown ass adult. There's therapists for that. They have parents. Whatever daddy or mommy issues they have, go fix them. Don't put them on me. Don't put them on anybody else. It's because you lack something. You're grown enough to know how to handle it or where you can reach or reach out to get some help for that. My responsibility is my kids. I'm an uncle and I love my niece and nephews. My responsibility is them too. At one point it was my brothers, or at least I thought. But now they're grown adults. And I could tell you that I've been underappreciated by them. But I know that they went through the same experiences I did. And I know that if they wanted to work on themselves, they can. What matters to me is what the kids think. Not what anybody else who's grown and has the same abilities that I do thinks.
Last question. What advice would you give to a new father?
Ooh, what advice would I give to a new father? Think about it this way. Do you remember your first love? You remember the first true connection you made to an individual, whether it was a man or a woman? The emotions that you had, the butterflies, the wonder, that's exactly what's going to happen. Brand new relationship you've never been in, but you created it. And the best part of it all is they have no baggage. There is nothing there. This is a complete blank slate. So this relationship, this newborn, this new life that you helped build, it's your responsibility. Don't beat yourself up over it. Learn, pay attention, be kind, love them, guide them, teach them, and respect them. We're not molding images of ourselves. We're helping an individual in their own image. Just love them. Give them a little space. And love yourself. All your mistakes from the past, they don't matter. They don't care about them. They don't know about them. All your errors, all your pain, all your hurt, leave that behind. And this is a brand new relationship that has absolutely zero awareness of any of that. Don't burden them with it.